grown as a musician. Beat the craft's what I had to do while you sitting. So you listen and think about how dudes spitting. But dudes written's a product.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentary. So WWE has once again dropped a list. This is the list of the 38 greatest WrestleMania moments of all time. I do not have any idea what's on this list. We're all going to learn together. Well, you may have already seen it. I haven't seen it. So I went to comicbook.com where they have the list instead of watching the video. Because I know there is a video, I just don't have time to watch it. And I think sometimes the comment section in these videos, they kind of spoil things. And I'm one of those scrollers. I scroll in the comment section sometimes. So, sight unseen, I wrote down my top 5. So we'll talk about my top 5 WrestleMania moments. But we want to see what WWE got first. And then I'm going to give my thoughts. How about that after each one? Number 38, Roman Reigns defeat The Undertaker. WrestleMania 33. I don't know about that one, dog. I guess we got to start somewhere, right? Number 37, Andre the Giant slams Big John Studd. Okay. Number 36, Snoop Dogg performs with Sasha Banks. WrestleMania entrance, WrestleMania 32. Number 35, Brock Lesnar defeats Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship, WrestleMania 19. Number 34, John Cena revives the Doctor of Thugonomics at WrestleMania 35. Okay. Number 33, The Ultimate Warrior defeats Hulk Hogan in the Ultimate Challenge at 33. Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. The Ultimate Warrior defeating Hulk Hogan is number 33. Okay. Okay, let's see what we got here. Number 32, Randy Orton's massive RKO on Seth Rollins. Not bigger than Hogan and Warrior. Okay, not bigger than that. Number 31, Kane attacking Pete Rose. WrestleMania 14. Certainly not better than Warrior and Hogan. Number 30, Triple H defeats Batista. WrestleMania 35. No, again, not better than Warrior and Hogan. Number 29, Stone Cold turns heel and aligns with Vince McMahon. WrestleMania 17. Or X7. I don't understand why y'all call it X7. Here's the thing. I hate a lot of these Attitude Era WrestleManias. I know that's probably going to get people really riled up. A lot of the WrestleMania 17 is actually very good. From top to bottom, it is legit one of the better WrestleManias. But most of the Attitude Era WrestleManias are absolute trash. They're garbage shows. And I know that's kind of something people don't really want to say. Because Attitude Era is so good. No, it's not. If you can sit through all of WrestleMania 2000, you must just have a high tolerance for garbage. You know, same thing with WrestleMania, was it 15? 15 is mostly garbage too. You know, not saying that the whole show was garbage, you know, but so it was obviously it's WrestleMania, so there's going to be bright spots to it. But if you were to compare those shows a lot to the shows that we have today, if you were to swap some of these shows, people would complain. WrestleMania 17 isn't really one of those shows, but the finish to WrestleMania 17, absolute basura. It was absolute bullshit. You know, WrestleMania 17, it was a great show that did not need Steve Austin's heel turn. It did not need it. You know, you could have done the same thing without the actual turn. Could have had Austin beat The Rock with the chair, everything, without him shaking hands with Vince and all that kind of stuff. To me, it left people with mostly confusion and not with the feeling that they should have had ending WrestleMania. You know, that was the big problem with the Attitude Era WrestleMania after 15. You know, you had too much McMahon in 16, way too much McMahon in 17. You know, they dialed it back at 18 though, thank God. But Stone Cold turning heel, I would have this higher actually. 28, Ronda Rousey submits Stephanie McMahon, WrestleMania 34. 27, The Rock defeats Eric Rowan in 6 seconds. That shouldn't even be on the list. Number 26, Edge wins the first Money in the Bank match. Okay. 26, I don't know, but that's a good one. Number 25, DX versus the NWO, WrestleMania 31. See, this is a problem because that's not even what it should be. You know, I get that's what they made it. And you know what? I haven't watched WrestleMania 31 in a long time. So maybe if I watch it again, I'll have a different feeling of it. But to me, it just felt like it was in the way of the Sting Triple H match. It just felt like it shouldn't have been there. You know, like there was other times and places to do that. It didn't have to be a DX versus NWO thing. It just wasn't necessary. It just felt like it distracted from the match. Number 24, Randy Savage wins the WWF title, WrestleMania 4. I'm sorry, I don't think so. Number 23, the Hardys make their surprise return, WrestleMania 33. That one was legit. This was legit. I like this. It's not making the top 20, but it's right outside the top 20, so that's pretty good. Number 22, Roman Reigns wins the WWE Championship from Triple H, WrestleMania 32. Get the fuck out of here. Number 21, Razor Ramon beats Shawn Michaels in the ladder match, WrestleMania 21. I guess it's right outside the top 20. Can't really complain too much. Number 20, Vince McMahon gets his head shaved, WrestleMania 23. That was a legit moment. I love that moment. Being in the building was something else for that. I'm telling you, WrestleMania 23 is great. Great show. Number 19, Bianca Belair defeats Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship. No, it should not be on here. Number 18, John Cena defeats JBL for the WWE Championship, WrestleMania 21. Nah. There's not even a top 18 John Cena WrestleMania moment. At least I don't think so. Matter of fact, it might be. It might be like in the top 3 or 4. Number 17, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat defeats Randy Savage for the Intercontinental title, WrestleMania 3. I think the match itself is more. If you were saying like the finish itself is the moment, I guess so. Yes. Okay. But the match itself, is different. So it's a whole different level. Number 16, Undertaker retires Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 26. This was great. Shawn being retired probably should be in the top 15. It's right outside the top 15. We'll see what they put above it. Daniel Bryan wins the WWE World Heavyweight title, WrestleMania 30. Oh, no. That was a feel-good moment, but Shawn's retirement was a little bit more of an emotional thing. Number 14, The Rock defeats John Cena, WrestleMania 28. It was a great finish. I think the match was okay. The finish was fine. It was a little one of those finisher fests. That was the thing about the Rock Cena matches. They were finisher fests for guys who just hitting their move 100 times, and it was like, oh no. That kind of took away from the match. They don't, that's when you start trying to have the epic match, where everybody kicks out of everybody's finish. And then they were doing that shit all night. Undertaker was doing it with CM Punk, and Lesnar was doing it with Triple H. Just everybody's kicking out of everybody's finish. It was too much of that shit on that show. This is a different. I'm talking about 29. This is 28 shit. Still, it was the same thing. Number 13, The Undertaker returned as a dead man, WrestleMania 20. Yeah, I like that. That was a pretty good moment. I don't know if it'll be top 15, but I like that. Number 12, Charlotte Flair ends Asuka's undefeated streak at WrestleMania 34. Nah. Top 38 WrestleMania moments? Nah, not that. 11, Stone Cold wins his first WWF Championship, defeating Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 14. I would think the Shawn Michaels punch by Mike Tyson, or the Mike Tyson count, would be bigger moments, but Stone Cold winning the title was huge. It was huge. Number 10, Edge spears Jeff Hardy midair, WrestleMania X7. Yeah, that's a highlight reel, forevermore highlight reel. Number 8, Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth reunites, WrestleMania 7. Absolutely, this should be higher as far as I'm concerned. I love this moment. Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. It's kind of a thing that even though I didn't I lived through it because I was born, but I didn't understand it because I was a kid. So when you go back and you look at that entire arc of WrestleMania 4, 5, 6, and 7, and the story that they were telling with Randy and Elizabeth during that time, this should be higher. Them reuniting. It's an incredible story that begins at WrestleMania 4 with, him on her shoulder. WrestleMania 5, the Mega Powers explode, and Elizabeth is stuck in between them. Between WrestleMania 5 and 6, Randy Savage wants nothing to do with Elizabeth. He gets rid of her, replaces her with Sherry. So WrestleMania 6, he's got Sherry with him to fight Dusty and Sapphire. And so Sherry is with him for that. And then WrestleMania 7, Sherry is still with him. Now he's the Macho King. He was the Macho King against Dusty Rhodes too. And he loses his career, and Sherry turns on him. And then Elizabeth saves him. So you have this entire arc that they created over the course of 3 or 4 years. This should certainly be higher. This should certainly be higher, just off of that alone. But that's an awesome moment. WrestleMania 7. Number 7, Kofi Kingston wins the WWE Championship. WrestleMania 35. No. Sure, I guess it's supposed to be a big win for the blacks, but I was more represented by DMX having a prayer during John Cena's entrance, WrestleMania 27. The Miz Hate Me Now, because I was like, I love that song. I used to listen to both of those guys, Nas and DMX. I feel represented. But Kofi winning the title was a big deal. Was it a top 10 moment? I don't know, man. I don't know if it was a top 10 moment. Number 6, The Rock defeats Hollywood Hogan. I think that we should specify not just The Rock defeating Hogan. Specifically, there are 2 moments that I think in that match alone that you could have picked just one or the other. One is the initial stare down. Just them 2 being in the ring together is on a different stratosphere. But the moment I like, my favorite moment, is at the end where a defeated Hogan has his hand out and The Rock shakes his hand and the crowd absolutely erupts. That's the moment, as far as I'm concerned. That is a top 10 WrestleMania moment. Is a whipped, defeated Hulk Hogan officially passing the torch to The Rock. That's tremendous. Number 5, Shawn Michaels defeats Bret Hart in a 60-minute Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. It's not a top 10 moment, I don't think. I don't think it's a top 10 moment. As much as I love Shawn Michaels, I'm not sure it's a top 10 moment. I'm not sure. I gotta question that. Number 4, Becky Lynch wins the first women's main event, WrestleMania 35. Come on, brother. Come on with this shit. Come on with this shit. Number 3, Hulk Hogan slams Andre the Giant. Wait a minute. Hogan slamming Andre is not number 1? All right, so I got to cover the screen, because Hogan slamming Andre is not number 1. Therefore, I have to prepare myself for whatever fuckery is about to occur. Because I got a feeling that something stupid is about to be number 2. And number 1 probably going to be even dumber. Because this is WWE. Now, wait a minute. Hold on, before I look. They haven't talked about the ending of the streak. So it's possible that 2 or 1 could be the ending of the streak. The ending of the streak, believe it or not, probably rivals Andre being slammed. I probably wouldn't put it above it, but it's close. All right. So what's number 2? Seth Rollins cashes in the Money in the Bank, WrestleMania 31. What the fuck? Oof. Jesus H. Look, it was a great surprise. It's a worthy moment to discuss and talk about for the future. It was a great moment for Seth Rollins, great for his character. It was great for that match because that match kind of needed Seth Rollins to come in there and inject some energy into it. But I don't. The number 2 moment of all time. Boy. So number 1 has to be the streak being broken. And that is exactly what it is. Number 1, Brock Lesnar ends the Undertaker's undefeated streak, WrestleMania 30. All right, so the streak being broken is number 1. I wouldn't have put it at number 1, but I'm not going to argue that it's number 1. It was probably the single most heartbreaking thing that had occurred on a WrestleMania show probably ever. You know, as far as generations of people being heartbroken at one time. Like there had never been a single event outside of maybe Hogan slamming Andre where the entire crowd reacted the exact same way when it occurred. You know, I just remember the air leaving the building and then everybody just kind of just sat there. Like, now we got to sit through the rest of this shit. And the rest of the show suffered because Undertaker lost in the middle of the fucking show. That's what made WrestleMania 30 so awesome, though. Because once you hit that Undertaker losing his streak thing, you're like, fuck, I'm ready to go. You know, I'm done. We're done here. All right. Time to go night-night. And then Bryan wins the title and everybody's happy again. You know, so the streak breaking, it's a worthy number 1. It is. It's tough. But they didn't mention Ric Flair getting retired. Why? Ric Flair losing and ending his, career, which began in the 1970s. I know he still wrestled in TNA and stuff after this, but that was an emotional moment too. That was far more emotional and far more memorable than a lot of the stuff that they had on here, especially like John Cena winning his first title. Because like, what's the difference between Cena winning his first title and Batista winning his first title? Like, there's no real difference between the two of those things. You know, it wasn't nothing special. John Cena beat like a upper mid card wrestler in JBL to win the title. It was kind of like, okay, whatever. You know, and it wasn't even the main event. You know, so I wouldn't go that far. Here's my top 5. Number 5, and I'm surprised it was never mentioned. Stone Cold Steve Austin in the Sharpshooter. To me, there is very few WrestleMania moments that are as iconic as Steve Austin doing a push-up in the Sharpshooter. That's a top WrestleMania moment. You can show that to anybody. They know exactly where that's from. They know exactly the match that you're talking about. You see Steve Austin with a bloody mask on his face, pushing up, struggling. It tells you everything you need to know about that match, everything you need to know about Brett, everything you need to know about Steve Austin, everything in that moment. It coalesces everything. The story, the characters, and it's an iconic moment that if you show it to anybody, they know what the fuck going on. That should be in the top 5 or 10. At least. This is the moment that made Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not him winning the title. This was the moment that made Stone Cold Steve Austin. There is no Steve Austin. Even more than the Austin 316. This was it. Because this showed you that this is a tough motherfucker. That bloody, beaten, battered, he still will not give up. So Steve Austin in the Sharpshooter, number 5. Number 4, I already said this, but the Hogan and Rock stare down, and I combined it with the handshake. Mainly because, again, you see what's going on. The crowd is reacting. Visually, if you see a shot of Hogan with his hand out, and The Rock standing there, and Hogan's kind of hunched over, Hogan's being melodramatic. Of course he is. He's Hulk Hogan. Of course he's going to be melodramatic. And he's got his hand out. He's visibly defeated. And the crowd is like, Rock, show my guy his respect. You know, this is redemption for Hulk Hogan. Everything is great story. Handshake. Number 3, the end of the streak. Obviously, like I just said, you want to kill a crowd? There was no deader crowd than after the streak ended. I don't think they paid attention to anything that occurred after that. Some people, and I know legit, some people who have never watched WrestleMania 30 because the streak ended at that show. Or there will be people who will skip that match. They'll watch the whole event except the streak ending. They'll fast forward through that. You know, and it's tough when you see like grown folks, especially grown men, go out of their way to avoid a wrestling match because it will make them emotional. You can't beat that. You can hardly beat that. Number 2, Randy and Liz, they're reuniting at WrestleMania 7. Epic. I already explained why it's epic. But it's fantastic. And number 1, obviously, Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. It is the moment that made WrestleMania. Outside of, I know there was 2 WrestleManias before that. But when Hogan slammed Andre, we were off to running. Hogan was the guy. We were off and running. Hulkamania was running wild, dog. Hulkamania was running wild. Now, I didn't write down what I thought maybe was some underrated, because I didn't know what was going to be on here. So, I think maybe some underrated moments throughout the years is, a lot of them will be probably in the new generation era, because a lot of people, you kind of skip over those WrestleManias. Rightfully so, because 9 is not good, 10 is 11 is not good, and 12 is mostly all right. So those are like the new generation WrestleManias, and even though I love the new generation era and how hokey it is and how corny it is, they didn't produce great product. But Bret being beaten by Owen Hart should be on the list, because it was a shock, surprise to everybody. And then the moment itself is Owen standing in the aisleway watching people celebrate Bret winning the title. That's the moment. That's a WrestleMania moment that, again, show it to anybody who has ever watched WrestleMania 10. It tells you the entire story of the fucking show just in that shot of Owen Hart standing in the aisleway with Bret with the title, and he's on everybody's shoulder and everybody's celebrating Bret. He beat Bret literally 2 hours ago. And he's standing in the aisleway like, what is going on? I can't get even a little bit. My little bit of success has been overshadowed by Bret. It tells you everything you need to know about the characters, about the story, and about where they were going in the future. Owen standing in the aisleway watching Bret should be on this list. Should definitely be on this list more than some of the other shit that is on this list. It was a great storytelling device. What else can I think of? I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. Oh shit. Maybe I shouldn't do it off the top of my head. Maybe I should sit down and write some stuff down. I hate when they try to manufacture moments, like when Big Show won Intercontinental title. That was some bullshit. Cody should have won that match. But to me, I feel like the moments obviously have to be earned, and they have to be. It has to serve the story, and I'm always about that. And that's really what my problem is with the Attitude Era WrestleManias. There's a lot of this stuff I don't feel. It felt like I'm gonna complain about Attitude Era WrestleManias at one point, outside of here, that they felt like big budget episodes of Raw. It had like heel turns in the middle of the show, and you're just kind of like, what the fuck? I don't even know what direction we're going in at this point. It's like, we got to do something, so we're going to do it. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. And, oh, the Big Boss Man being hung. That's a pretty big moment. I don't know if it's a top 38 moment. This is more important than some of the stuff that we saw here. That match was not good, by the way. I love Big Boss Man, but that match wasn't good. I love Undertaker too, but nah. The two of them together, probably not WrestleMania material. Eddie removing his boot at WrestleMania 20. I thought that was great. You know, I'm talking about moments. Not in the match itself is also fantastic, but you know, Eddie pulling his boot off was tremendous. It's probably some more. I do agree that the RKO was between Seth and Randy was very good. It was a great moment. And but I don't know if, you know, I'm looking at this list, man. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, man. Becky Lynch winning the title and a botched finish. Nah, man. At the very least, Bianca Belair whipping Sasha Banks is a legit WrestleMania moment. You know, is it top 38? I don't know, but I would definitely put that on the list somewhere because it again tells you everything you need to know about the characters. You know exactly where it's occurring, and you know you can tell that it's downhill from Sasha after that. So that's a really legit dope moment that involves the women. I don't know if I would definitely put it higher than Charlotte beating Asuka because, you know, sure, Asuka was undefeated, but was people really emotionally invested in Asuka? Not really. She hadn't been on the main roster that long by the time she lost to Charlotte. It wasn't like she was on the main roster undefeated for 2 years. You know, most people just kind of like, ugh, of course Charlotte won. There was no emotional reaction. And that's really what I'm looking for is storyline, emotional reaction, that kind of stuff. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later.